Join me today as we do a fall garden tour here at the Horticulture Geek Garden. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Horticulture Geek. Welcome to the channel. I'm Ray, and like I just said, today we are going to be doing a garden tour. And as a matter of fact, this is the first garden tour I've done this whole season. If you guys have been with my channel for a while, welcome back. It has been a crazy busy summer and growing season for me, and I have just not been able to produce as many videos this year as I would normally have produced. If this is your first time joining me today on this garden tour, maybe the title or the suggested for you page looped you in, welcome. I am in central Arkansas near Little Rock. This is a 7B, 8A growing zone. We are on the cusp, and I am in a normal suburban residential neighborhood, and this is my backyard garden. So we're going to be taking a tour today. Now, since this is a late fall tour, we are at the end of October right now. We have not had our first frost here yet in central Arkansas, but we have had some rather cool nights. So some plants have already started to fizzle out. The coleus are not gone yet, but they are looking a little sad, as well as some other things. So we're just gonna walk around and I'm gonna show you what's in the garden, what's going on. And I will say that I have not had a chance to fully get out here and pull weeds out of this garden the way that I normally like to do. So forgive the garden's state if you see some weeds, especially in the vegetable patch. I've kind of let it go because there's no vegetables in it currently, and the nutsedge is taking over, which if you are a gardener and have been a gardener for a while, you know that nutsedge is just awful. And I'm dealing with it. But we'll get into all that as we go through the garden tour. So for now, sit back, relax, and here we go. All right, guys, so we're just gonna start down here so I can give you a general overview of the garden before we go and start looking at individual things that are out here. So we will start right here. So this is the entry gate to the yard. My home does have a rear driveway, so that's what you're seeing here. There's my shed. It still hasn't been painted, so some of you that have been with me for a while know we did lose most of the shed in a tornado. A tree that used to completely cover this whole landscape back through here fell on it, so I had to rebuild it, and I still haven't painted it, but that's okay. I've got some beautiful things in this bed. There's a flower bed behind the shed. And then we have the whole full garden up around the pool. And then the patio back there with the shade garden under that tree. And then we have the back of the house and the porch area here. So we're just gonna start our tour right down here and look at some things. I've got canna lilies. Again, this is the end of the season, so they're starting to brown out. They've got spent bloom stalks that need to be trimmed out. It's okay, it's fine. I had this grapevine hyacinth bean vine growing on the fence here above the zinnias. This has been a prolific bloomer this year. It's been very beautiful. And the thing I love about these grapevine hyacinths is that it is a bean vine. They are toxic. They can be eaten if they are prepared the right way, but I don't recommend it. But look at these beautiful purple pods. So you can see there's a flower right there. So the vine will cover itself in those beautiful purple flowers, and then wherever the flowers were, these pods will start to appear. And so these really give you that color and interest even as the season winds down. Planted under that, I just have zinnias. Now, the powdery mildew has finally kind of taken over the zinnia crop, but they're still blooming. They would do with a good dead head at this point, but we're so near the end of the season that it's probably just not even worth the expense right now, or the expenditure of time to get out here and deadhead them. But there's still some beautiful color in there. And then this is a dahlia. I don't remember the variety name on this dahlia, but this is a beast. This has been in this raised bed for 4 years now. I don't dig it out. I will have to dig it out at some point this year, this winter, this year, because this whole raised bed has to be replaced. It is to the point where it is completely almost gone, so it's going to have to be rebuilt. So at some point this will have to be dug up, but this thing is just a beauty. And so let me kind of step back here so you can see. This is one dahlia plant, and it is just covered in blooms. Some nutsedge, and this is, I usually keep some veggies here, so nutsedge is taken over. Some extra supplies, and then let's come back here. Now this bed was new this year. It was put in this year. So, but I do have some pretty things here. I've got a little gem magnolia here, some impatiens, some irises. This back here is a variegated hydrangea. Again, it's the end of the season. The plant's not looking too great. So the variegation on these leaves, it really is just a bright spot back here. So I'm planting this, like, it's pretty open right now, but once this little gem gets some size on it, once these arborvitaes get some size on them, I'm in a fenced area behind a shed, there is a good amount of shade back here, and so this variegated hydrangea really shows up. It is a bright spot back here. I've got it front planted with this Carax grass. I don't know the variety on that. And then there, I believe those are Claire Curtis mums back there. I was given those by a gardening friend, and they are beautiful, beautiful species mums. So I just kind of tucked them in back there to see what they would do. I've got a rose in this urn here, and then just a few other little things that we've planted back here. As time goes on, another rose. This rose in the container is yellow. And then this one here is a beautiful pink shrub rose. Still giving me gorgeous color. And I like this one because it gives really pretty rose hips. They are orange rose hips. This one gives traditional rose hips. There were some on here. They're starting to develop those right now. So you can see right here where the old flowers were. It's starting to develop its rose hips right now. So I won't deadhead these. I will let them continue to develop rose hips to give some interest through the winter. On the containers right here, we have blackberry, blueberry, blueberry, blackberry. I just kind of keep those there. And then we're just walking around behind the back side of the garden here. So let's go up and see everything from above. I will mention right here in front of the shed, I do have English ivy in a container, as well as some evergreens. In my opinion, this is the only way to grow English ivy because it is a garden thug. So it's a beautiful plant, makes for wonderful topiaries, accents, but if that gets in the ground, it will absolutely take over. So if you're a gardener and you like the look of English ivy and you want it in your garden, put it in a container. Otherwise, it will completely take over your garden. I've got another dahlia in this container right here, planted with some ageratum. So this is a purpley pinky dahlia with that blue ageratum. This one has just been beautiful all season long, throwing out these really pretty dahlias. This is a double coneflower right here. This plant caught a little powdery mildew as well. That happens here in the South, especially. If you're a gardener and you've dealt with powdery mildew before, you know. Oh gosh, and these weeds, you know, it's just one thing after the other around here. But, so this is a beautiful double coneflower right there. Lavender, this will be ready for a shear back. I'll probably do that in the early spring. I'll let the winter coldness get this, put it into a dormancy, and then I'll shear this back in the spring. The hibiscus. This is a Holy Grail hibiscus, I believe is the variety on this one. I have shown it before in videos, and it produces the huge reddish maroon flowers that are bigger than a hand. And so this is just really a showstopper here. Again, another little gem magnolia. This one is not as thick and full as the one behind the shed, but this one is not as protected as that one. And before this one was planted here, it was just in a different growing spot than the other one. So it's just taken on a little bit of a different life. But all together, so you have to remember that this is, sorry, I'm going too fast. This is the entrance to the garden right here. And so when I slow pan around, you can see you're met in the full season with these beautiful maroon flowers, the lavender, the dahlias, the magnolia, and then the backdrop of the rest of the garden. I have cosmos planted in here. It was a mixed variety of cosmos. The pink and the orange is what has survived, and the orange has just gone nuts. Very prolific, but absolutely beautiful. And the pink cosmos is still holding its own. There was some yellows and some whites as well. Those all fizzled out at this point. A couple of containers tucked in here, some celosia, some petunias in that container. Here again is my main veggie patch. I grow onions and cabbages and all sorts of stuff, and anything else I want to grow through the growing season. The nutsedge, as you can see, is nuts in here. I've been treating it, trying to get rid of it, but nutsedge is a garden thug, and it does not like to go away. So, and the thing with nutsedge is that if you are not familiar with it, it grows through rhizomes and shoots under the soil. So all of these sprigs of nutsedge grass that you see popping up are connected under the soil through roots, tendrils, rhizomes, and shoots, which makes it incredibly difficult to get rid of, because if you pull one, you haven't affected the entirety of the colony of plants. The other thing is that since it does grow through rhizomes, if you treat this with a chemical treatment approved for nutsedge, it's going to kill any plant typically that grows on rhizomes, bulbs, or tubers. So therefore, you will kill irises and tulips and daffodils and anything like that that you have in your garden. You have to be very careful with chemical treatments when you're dealing with this. A couple of roses I just picked up from the store the other day. We will show you these. And these eventually are going to be going on either side of the swing arbor. We're going to be doing some reworking of that. This is that back side of the garden. This is its probably 8th or 9th year, and some of the perennials over there are just past the point of needing to be dug up, divided, and redone. I've got some irises in there that you just can't even see hardly anymore. They need to be kind of separated, thinned, and moved out. So we're going to be doing some reworking over there, and I just picked up these roses to go over there as well. Okay, moving right along, we have the patio peach. So this is a peach tree. It does produce full-size peaches that are delicious and sweet and edible. The good thing about a miniature peach tree, a patio peach tree, or any of the miniature fruit varieties that you can find is they are specifically bred to handle staying small, being able to live in a container. So it's perfect for an urban or suburban gardener. If you don't have a lot of room, you don't have a lot of, maybe you don't have any ground planting areas, maybe you're on a apartment in a concrete slab or something like that, all you have is patio, you can still have fruit in containers. And so that's my patio peach. Under that here is a beautiful spider aloe. So he just kind of has been hanging out here this season. I did enter him into a flower and horticulture show this summer, and he took a blue ribbon for him. So he's a really, really nice spider aloe. Just a basket of petunias here. All right, so looking this direction, you can kind of see some stuff. And this is purple heart right here. So love it. And the bees, the honey bees are all over this right now. I'll kind of get you in where you can see them. So they are working those flowers, trying to desperately get everything they can get to finish up their food stores for the winter. So now that we're up here on top of the retaining wall, there's a few weeds, there's some, that's fine, but there's some beautiful stuff. I've got some lamb's ear here. These are yellow hot pokers. So, and you can see there's a bloom stalk that I haven't grabbed out of here yet. Here's another one right here. These things were just beautiful this year. Some liatris right here. I have left these up just because after the liatris blooms, and it's got those bloom stalks are purple. And they are gorgeous, and they stay purple for a very long time. And then as the season progresses, they slowly fade their color and turn to brown, but it is still a neat architectural interest. And so I leave them. I will come and prune them out at some point, but for right now, there's just really no point in messing with them. They still provide food and forage for birds and wildlife, and they're providing architectural interest here in the garden. I've got another big pot here. You can barely even see the pot. If I zoom in, you can see it's a blue urn there, a big low bowl, not an urn, filled with petunias as well. Underplanted with creeping jenny. I do have creeping jenny planted through here as a ground cover. There's a salvia there. And this is a more recently planted salvia. This is the Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes variety. And I do have another one right over there. And this one here was a cutting off of that one. I just kind of plugged him in. This is a hydrangea right here. And this one was almost a goner. Literally, it was down to one little nub sticking out of the ground. And I moved it here just to see what would happen. And this season, its root system recovered, and it did push out this little plant here. So it's not much to look at now, but next year, this will be even better. It's ready to have those spent blooms pruned off, but I'm super excited that that's there. And so we've just got different perennials through here. There's coneflowers, there's perennial geraniums, there's black-eyed Susans, more lamb's ear. That is a pot of chives. And we are under the crepe myrtle now. So this is just a standard southern crepe myrtle. It is a multi-trunk. I keep it trained that way. I've got some trimming I need to do. So here within the next week or so, I will probably come in and do that and get that all trimmed up so that it's looking better. All right, right here we have one of our water fountains. And you guys, if you've been with my channel for a while, you saw me build this water fountain. I did construct this fountain from the beginning. It is one of my most popular videos. Most of my viewers came to the channel through this video. So here it is, it lives, it works. I enjoy it. I've got ground covers planted around it. Hopefully they will continue to spread and completely cover to where you won't be able to see the plastic basin on that. So that's a more recent addition there, putting those in next to the fountain. And I really love how it is softening the edge, and you can see it starting to spill over there. And so we're just going to continue to work that around along with the lamb's ear and the black-eyed Susans, so that this truly is just like a little oasis tucked into this area. Okay, here we have our Zephyrine Druin rose. It is definitely an aggressive climbing rose. I've got several videos on this one as well. You can see I've got some branches clearly trained along the fence. So we are working this rose to be a classic espaliered fan shape climbing up along the fence, and it just loves its spot. Zephyrines will do this. They will put off lots of shoots and growth, which is good if you are trying to have a climbing rose that you want to train, because it gives you more opportunities to select the branches you want, and then you can remove the ones you don't want. So I will come in here soon and do another selective prune out of these. Anything growing this way towards me into the path of the garden will come out. Any good canes that are ready to be espaliered and trained and attached to the fence will be chosen, and then we'll just clean it up. But Zephyrine Druins, I don't have any blooms on this one at the moment. I just had some the other day. We've had some wind and they've been knocked off, but they are a beautiful light pink rose, and they are super, super fragrant. So I absolutely love this rose bush here. Here I have a pedestal urn. You can't even see the urn. You can see the pedestal it's on, but I have it planted with some Calibrachoa and some geranium. The geranium needs to be deadheaded, but that's okay. If you're a gardener like me, sometimes I just don't have time to get in here and do the deadheading, but deadheading a geranium is super easy, and if you stay on top of it, it really will help proliferate the blooms of that plant. So the more you keep it cleaned up and happy, the more it will bloom for you. But this has been just a true showstopper this year over here in this corner of the garden. The pinky Calibrachoas with the pink geraniums, I mean, it just literally draws your eye over here every single time. I've got some more perennial geraniums planted underneath. Then here we get to this Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes Salvia. And I just let these go natural. And so I also have, excuse me. Okay, so I decided to take a little bit of a step back here so that you can see kind of the layers here. So there really is some beautiful layering and some beautiful coloring in here, but you can see how big, and this is the view, like if you're in the pool, that you're more apt to see. And so it really is pretty. But I do have, like I said, that Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes Salvia there. Then I've got the firecracker plant, or the Kufia. So I've got that orange. And then the Blue Suede Shoes tucks up as behind as well. There is an evergreen planted back there. My giant lilies are planted back there. They've started to flop over as well, but you can see its bloom. And those giant lilies were absolute showstoppers this year. And I actually have a picture of those, I believe. I will look and see if I can find it. And if I can, I will plug it in right here. Okay, so, and then I've got just some more things here. So there is some sedums in here that you can barely see, some Gara, some regular salvia, just regular species salvia. And then let's talk about this. I love how the swing arbor grew this year. Some years, this again is the grapevine hyacinths, or the hyacinths bean vine. In this one, you can see it's still got lots of color on it with the blooms, and then tons of color with the bean pods. In some years, the vines will completely take over and it will just be a huge mass that requires tons and tons of pruning to keep the swing free. This year, this one just kind of grew up and lived here, and that one grew up and lived there, and it left the center kind of open, and just for some reason it speaks to me. Let me back up and try to give you a little bit better view. You've seen it a little bit already, but yeah. And then I've got those huge Supertunia Vista hanging baskets on either side. So this is a mix. This is a Proven Winners blend, but this is a mix of Supertunia bubblegum, jazzberry, and oh gosh, what is this one? The name is slipping my mind. I forget what it is, but anyway, this is a Supertunia Proven Winners as well. So these are all three in the Vista series, and just beautiful. And you can see the size of these baskets. I mean, here's my hand for comparison. These things are just massive balls of color. Again, it's the end of the growing season here for us, so you can still see a lot of green, but in peak summer here, this was nothing but just a ball of color. You could hardly see any green at all underneath the massive amounts of flowers. Now, the key to success with a hanging basket like this: fertilize, fertilize, fertilize. So if you are a new gardener, or you're a gardener who hasn't had much experience with like Supertunias in a hanging basket before, it's probably because they're hungry. These plants are heavy feeders because they are doing so much work. You really do want to keep these on a weekly fertilizer schedule to keep them happy and keep them blooming. I've quit doing that at this point. The cool weather's taken over, and this is still how they look. Just absolutely beautiful. All right, I've got some sage in here. This is melon sage peeking out. Let me zoom in here for you on that. So that's pretty, and it just kind of is taken over. This is one plant, so let me kind of step back as much as I can here and show you. There's one plant planted right back there, and it has completely shot out branches. This is all melon sage all through here. It is completely covered up the Gara that's on this side. You can see it peeking out a little bit right there. I've got more just species salvia here. The Gara is flopped over on it. So this has become one of my problems over here. It is a beautiful sage, and the smell on it is divine. It really smells like melons. It's very sweet and nice smelling, but it's just so big. I've got to dig this up. I've got to divide it, and then I can kind of move some of this around the garden and free up some of these other plants that I've got going on here. Here's a better shot of the giant Orient Pet lilies you can see these stalks better. They're not covered up, but everywhere you see one of these candle nubs right here, these are a seed pod. There was a giant white lily bloom there. You hopefully saw the picture on that. So you can just imagine how beautiful those were. There's a white coneflower peeking up there. And so just some different things. Here is a beautiful clematis. This is a double blooming clematis. It blooms in the spring, and it kind of fizzled out. You can see some brown leaves on there poking through. It fizzles out in the dead hot heat of summer, and then when the cool weather returns in fall, it comes back and starts reblooming. A beautiful purple as well. And there are buds all over this as well. So it's going to continue blooming until frost takes it out. I've got another Kufia here. Again, I'm just a big fan of that color. And the good thing about Kufia, if you're not familiar with this plant, or the firecracker plant, hummingbirds absolutely love this plant. So, and there's bees trying to work it as well, but hummingbirds just absolutely love it. And it's perfect for them because they can get their long beaks down in there, their tongues, to get that nectar. All right, this some more coneflower, some more salvia. There are irises. I said that. You can kind of see one poking up there. There are irises hidden in there. There is also hidden in here peonies. I've got one on each side of the swing arbor. Those are going to be coming out. And the roses that I picked up are really going to be going on either side of the swing arbor where the peonies are now. The peonies are beautiful when they bloom in the spring, but they are old varieties of peonies. They have very weak stems. They cannot support themselves under the weight of the blooms, so they flop over. They require lots of work and staking to keep the blooms nice and healthy, to enjoy them. A lot of times I wind up not being able to get to it all, so it flops over. Then they get nasty, and then in the fall it turns into a powdery mildew haven and a slug haven. Peonies and hostas are two plants that absolutely must be cleaned up to the ground in late fall, early winter, or else you will harbor over slugs, snails, and grossness in your garden. And I'm just to the point where even though those peony blooms are beautiful when they occur, that 2 weeks of pretty is not worth the rest of the year of worry, mess, and work. So they're coming out. I'm done with them, and I'm putting landscape shrub roses in their place that will give me color all season long that I don't have to think about or worry about. Here we have another water fountain. I don't know if most of you have seen this yet. This was a new addition to the garden this year. I picked this up at a garden center in Memphis, one of my favorite garden centers over in Memphis. And I absolutely love this. This is the rose wall fountain. If you can see, it has a rose design on it. Let me zoom in where you can hopefully see that better. So there's a bouquet of roses there, a small bud there, and then some more roses there. And so the water comes out of that copper pipe, hits the first bowl, and then spills over into the second bowl here on the fence. So love this fountain, and the sound and the movement that it brings to the garden has been a real fun addition. I've got some Mexican petunias back here. That's the common name we call them. So let me zoom in on that purple flower there. So it's in a happy spot back there. It kind of likes being wedged in next to the caladium, not caladiums, the elephant ears for some reason. And it recently has fallen down. It got so tall, they were up to about right here for most of the season, and then some recent wind pushed it over. And it's to the point of the season where I'm not gonna worry about picking it up because I'll just cut it back and it'll flush out new next year. Here's our elephant ear patch. If you've been with me for a while, you know that this is a standard in the garden. They've been here for a very long time. They're always usually very beautiful. I did enter one of these leaves into a horticulture show, the same one that my spider aloe won in, and it won a blue ribbon as well, because these are just such mature, established bulbs, and they love their life that they really do shoot off these ginormous, perfect elephant ear leaves. And I do every year I remove pup bulbs from this area because these mother bulbs are just so big and happy here that they just produce baby bulbs all season long. And so in the spring I will come through and I will pull a whole bunch of bulbs out of here and give them away to garden friends, sell them at plant sales, whatever the case may be, just to keep this patch of elephant ears thinned out and in check. All right, guys, I think we're going to cut the video in half right here. So I'm going to end today's video right here, and we're going to call this garden tour part 1 that you've just finished watching. And then tomorrow I will post garden tour part 2, and that will carry us through the rest of the garden and yard. So I want you to come back tomorrow to watch that. But what this is going to allow me to do is really spend the amount of time I want to take to walk slowly through the garden and talk to you about all the plants and the things, and not make it such an overwhelmingly long video for you guys. So hopefully you, my viewers, will appreciate it. It'll make it more it'll make it easier for me to edit this video out and give you a part 1 and a part 2. So hopefully you have enjoyed part 1 up to this point. Hopefully you've seen some beautiful things. If you have any questions or comments about anything you've seen thus far in the Horticulture Geek Gardens, you know the drill. Leave that down below. Hopefully this video has inspired you to get out. Now set your reminder, come back tomorrow and catch part 2 of this garden tour. But until next time, from my garden to yours, I wish you all the best and happy gardening.